8 years ago, I was up in my room with my two best friends working on a science fair project that was due later that week. Everything was going well. Dinner was about to be served, and I was hungry, even though we had been eating lollipops continuously all that day. While we were having dinner, my mom got a phone call from my grandpa. He had called to say that my grandma had fallen. She couldn't get up, and she was refusing to get help. Everything else that happened later that evening is just a blur in my head. All I remember is having to sleep over at my sister's friend's house so my mom could take my grandma to the hospital. I remember the next morning getting picked up in a long, silent car ride home. After sitting quietly for a few minutes, I finally asked, "Is Grandma okay? Is Grandma okay?" I was a scared third grader and clueless about what the outcome might be. That was the night my grandma had a stroke, and from then on, she would have trouble doing what most people take for granted. I love my grandma, and moments like these scared me. My grandma was a big part of my life. When I was 2, she was the one who helped me reach the final stages of potty training. She taught me how to sew a dress and a quilt for my doll when I was 7. She taught me how to cook fancy meals as well as clean the table afterwards. At dinner, she would say, "Only take what you can eat and never, ever put your elbows on the table." One summer when I was 8, we spent a whole day making cranes out of fancy paper napkins. Moments like these are my favorite with my grandma. But now my grandma needs help just to walk a few steps, so she is usually pushed in a wheelchair. When we talk, it takes a lot of effort, so sometimes she runs out of breath. Her sense of time is off. She can't remember birthdays, and if I saw her a week ago, she might think it was yesterday. When my grandma was in the hospital, at first I was scared to visit her. But after watching her complain about the cafeteria pudding and joke around with the nurses, I realized that her funny sense of humor has remained the same. Moments like those were my favorite with my grandma. I didn't realize that a person's health could change so quickly. In the course of a single night, my grandma had gone from someone so strong to someone who wasn't capable of doing the little things that we all take for granted. Over the years, I have realized that she is still the same person before and after the stroke. She is still there at every family gathering, and she can still laugh and talk with me, as well as give me advice. We all had no idea that Grandma would have a stroke, and I admire her for everything she has been through. She is brave, strong, courageous, and I can't imagine my life without her. I love my grandma.